Part 11. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 101. The location provided by the other party was not far from the city gate, so Nightmare took Suren to fly there for a few minutes. Unlike the bright lights in other places, it was pitch black here. There is no other sound except the sound of wind and sand. The whole street was eerily quiet. Did that guy kill everyone around him to deal with me? Suren asked the Nightmare to put him down, and then summoned all the pet beasts he had summoned in the past 2 days. Go and find each other. Suren gave an order to the ice worms. Buzz buzz. The ice worms dispersed and disappeared into the night sky. Cair. Needless to say, Suren said, Cair had already used her eyes to observe the surrounding situation. Brother, in the small courtyard ahead, Seongda is standing in the middle of the courtyard. Is there anyone else around? Cair continued to observe for a while, shook her head and said. Didn't see anyone else. What does that man want to do? Suren looked at the rows of small courtyards around him, then took out the magic sword Thousand Blades and walked towards number 982. No matter what the other party is planning, now he has Cair, Ice Dragon King and Nightmare by his side. Even if the opponent is at level 9, it is impossible for him to kill him. All conspiracies and tricks are in vain in the face of absolute strength. Squeak. Suren pushed open the door of the small courtyard in front of him and walked in. The yard is not big, only more than 10 square meters. There is a grape trellis and a chicken coop on the edge of the yard. Seongda stood in the middle of the yard with his eyes closed. Even if Suren opened the door and came in, Seongda didn't react at all. Big Bear. Suren called softly. Still no response. Suren sent Nightmare over. The moment the Nightmare approached Seongda, a strong purple light was released from Seongda's body. Boom. A huge explosion sounded in the yard. Ouch. A dragon roar sounded, and the Ice Dragon King wrapped Suren with his body. Although the impact of the explosion was terrifying, it was neither painful nor itchy when it hit the Ice Dragon King. Not to mention the Nightmare. Although it has no defense, it is an invisible body and this kind of explosion cannot hurt it at all. Koizumi Jiro, who was hiding behind the scenes, watched this scene with huge waves in his heart. Ice Dragon King. This must be the level 880 Ice Dragon King. How could it be next to Suren? How is this possible? Could it be that the mythical beast recognized its master? At this moment, Koizumi Jiro thought a lot. But the appearance of the Ice Dragon King also made him more determined to get rid of the young genius Longuo. Even if the Ice Dragon King is protecting him, he won't be able to get out of here today. After the explosion, the entire courtyard and surrounding buildings were destroyed. Only Suren and a few of his pet beasts were left. Suren. At this time, a hollow and indifferent voice sounded in Suren's ears. Today, I will kill you. As he finished speaking, a figure several meters tall appeared in front of Suren. I saw this person who was all illusory and ethereal, wearing a black and white striped kimono, with a black katana in his left hand and a purple katana in his right hand. There was no wave in his eyes, only indifference. It is the Shikigami of Sakura country. Onikari, kill him. The hollow and indifferent voice sounded again. Yes, my lord. As soon as Onikari raised his swords, Suren had already drawn his swords. Onikari's figure shattered like glass and then disappeared. If that's all you have, I advise you not to waste your efforts. Suren retracted his knife and looked forward calmly. From the beginning to the end of the explosion, almost a minute had passed. There was no movement from Jixi city officials despite such a big movement. Suren already understood that he should have entered the illusion set by the other party. The exploding bear is also fake in nature. Haha, really? My Shikigami is immortal, How can you kill it? As soon as Koizumi Jiro's voice ended, Onikari's figure appeared in front of Suren again. Immortal? I've never heard of anything being immortal. Since you want to play, I can play with you. Suren looked at the three pet beasts beside him and said with a smile. You guys play with him, I want to see how long he can last. The Ice Dragon King was the first to fly out when he heard this, and then sprayed out a mouthful of freezing gas. The Onikari cut off the Ice Dragon King's attack with a slash of his two swords before it tried to act again. Then I found Nightmare scratching behind it. Who can stop Nightmare's attack power of up to 100 million? Before Onikari could even turn around, his body shattered and disappeared. Koizumi Jiro's eyes twitched, and his scalp suddenly felt numb. His eyes just now were all focused on Ice Dragon King and Suren. He didn't pay any attention to this bat-like monster. What is this? How could it kill my Shikigami? His Shikigami could withstand the Ice Dragon King's attacks, but in the face of this monster, his Shikigami was taken away without even resisting. Koizumi Jiro did not connect this thing with the nightmare in the wild at night. As a high-ranking official in Sakura Kingdom, he naturally knew about the existence of nightmares. You said that nightmare has become this boy's pet beast. How could he believe it? Koizumi Jiro summoned his Shikigami again. However, his face also turned pale. It was obvious that summoning this Shikigami was not without consumption. Suren did not watch their battle at this time, but looked around. The control of the river god's skills is useless here. I can't find the opponent's position at all. This illusion is a bit powerful. The river god is useless, so drawing a sword to kill him is of course useless. The ice worms flew out for a long time without sending back any useful news. It seems that he is fully prepared to deal with me, so he can only fight a war of attrition. In the center of the battlefield, the Ice Dragon King and Nightmare stared at Onikari to kill. Nightmare's face was expressionless, but the Ice Dragon King was enjoying himself. Koizumi Jiro wanted to use Onikari's speed advantage to get rid of the two beasts, but the Nightmare followed him even faster than his Shikigami. As soon as 3 seconds are up, Nightmare will definitely be able to attack Onikari, no matter how the opponent dodges. Caier stayed by Suren's side and saw that Suren was thinking of a solution. Caier said, "Brother, I can break his illusion. Do you need me to do something?" "Huh? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Didn't you say you wanted to play with him?" Suren slapped his forehead and said with a wry smile, "You really take it seriously? Hurry up and break his illusion. We still need to save Seongda." "Oh, all right." Caier nodded and waved her wings. A 5-color light flew out like a rainbow. What is this? Koizumi Jiro glanced at the 5-color light in the fantasy realm in confusion. Just when he was still doubting. Bo. A sound like the bursting of bubbles rang in his ears. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 102. This. Koizumi Jiro took a few steps back in shock. How could my illusion of a demon be broken? This is impossible. Koizumi Jiro looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. In his imagination, even if he couldn't hold on first due to the excessive consumption of summoning Shikigami, it was impossible for the illusion of the demon to be broken first. Once the illusion of the demon is broken, he will need to consume 10 times the mana and mental power to summon the Shikigami again. In this way, he can only summon the Shikigami a few more times at most. Brother, am I awesome? Caier raised her head proudly, waiting for Suren's praise. Awesome. Suren gave him a thumbs up. Her skill reminded Suren of a legendary figure named Kongxian. The 5-color divine light touches everything. Big sister is mighty. The Ice Dragon King shrunk his body and ran over to flatter him. Suren looked around and saw that he was still in the small courtyard. But unlike the silence just now, the surroundings were brightly lit now. The sound of cars mixed with the sounds of households cooking in the distance came over. At this time, Suren's ice insect swarm also sent news that they had found Xiongda and Koizumi Erlang. Suren smiled slightly and slashed towards the courtyard wall in the lower right corner with his sword. Boom! The courtyard wall cracked, and an old man who looked to be in his 60s appeared there. Koizumi Jiro looked at the young man in front of him, and he knew that he was destined not to survive today. There were too many pet beasts around Suren, and he was powerless even if he wanted to kill Suren. Originally, relying on the demonic illusion and the near-infinite resurrection of Shikigami, he could defeat almost any professional of the same level as him in a one-on-one fight. But facing Suren, he found how ridiculous his methods were. The opponent's pet beast can control his Shikigami at will, and even the illusion of the demon that ensures that he is not exposed has been broken by the opponent's pet beast. Koizumi Erlang looked at Suren, took a deep breath and said, "I would like to know if your second profession is a summoner." After speaking, Koizumi Erlang glanced at the many pet beasts beside Suren. Today he was defeated by these beasts. Summoner? Maybe. Suren looked at him and said calmly, "Do you have any last words?" Koizumi Erlang looked up to the sky and smiled. "Ha ha ha, God is going to destroy our Sakura Empire. I just regret that the sun doesn't shine on you. It's fate that our Sakura Empire didn't have such a genius born. Your Majesty, sir, I have tried my best." Koizumi Jiro roared, drew out the katana in his hand instantly, and then stabbed his heart. The katana penetrated his body. Koizumi Jiro looked to the east, then his eyes became distracted and he slowly knelt down. Everyone is his own master, and you can be considered a loyal minister. However, you have come to chase me over and over again. Do you really think that I am a fool? Suren's eyes turned cold. This grudge would never end like this. In Sakura country, he would definitely find an opportunity to seek advice from their genius. As for life or death, it all depends on whether they can withstand their own blow. Suren found Xiongda in the small courtyard next door through the guidance of the ice insect swarm. Xiongda must have fallen into the other person's fantasy, lying on the bed motionless. Caier shot out a 5-color divine light, helping him escape from the illusion. Xiongdaewei woke up, and after seeing Suren, he quickly stood up and said, "Sir, be careful, there is an old man who wants to kill you. He is dead." "Dead? That's good. What's going on with you? How can you, a 7th level professional, be controlled so easily by the other party?" Xiongda touched the back of his head in embarrassment when he heard this. "I don't know, I remember I was sleeping in the hotel, and then a nightmare woke me up. When I saw it, an old man stood in front of me and said he wanted to kill you. I was just about to teach him a lesson, and then I woke up again. Then I saw you." Suren smiled and shook his head after hearing this. It seemed that Xiongdao didn't even know that he had entered someone else's illusion. "It's not safe for you to follow me now. I may not be able to protect you. I don't need your following either. So I will give you a task next." What mission?" Xiongda thought that Suren thought he was a burden, so he couldn't help but panic. "It's a very important task. I will give you the 1000 change mask, and you can change your identity and go to Donghai City. Then find a place called Tomato Orphanage. You have only one mission, and that is to protect them for me. Whoever dares to touch them, you will kill them for me. I will be responsible for everything." Suren is not afraid of those desperados targeting him now. He is only afraid that they will dig into his past deeds and threaten the orphanage. So he sent Xiongda to protect them. Suren was very serious when he said this, and Xiongxiren could see it. "I know, master, Xiongda will protect them even if he risks his life." I will fulfill my promise after I promise you. You can set out early tomorrow morning. Yes, sir. Suren took back all the pet beasts and left the area with Seongda. After completing the last job transfer task tomorrow, he will complete the second job transfer. The Lord's Palace of Jixi City is also the governor's mansion of Jixi Prefecture. Zwuma, the governor of Jixi Prefecture, looked at the report from his subordinates and frowned. Koizumi Jiro, one of the ministers of the capital of Sakura Kingdom, died on his own territory. When Dalma saw the news, he thought his men were joking with him. An 8th-level professional died silently in his far west city. How can this be? But when she saw the body of Koizumi Erlang, Dalma believed this fact. Are the results out? Dalma looked at his coroner. Lord Huizhu Governor, Koizumi Erlang died under his own sword. It should be suicide. Should. Zwuma's voice turned cold. Do you think your profession allows you to say these two words? Seeing Zwuma getting angry, the coroner quickly explained. Go back to the governor, he did die of suicide. There was only a broken wall at the scene and there were no signs of a struggle, but there are indeed traces of the presence of other people at the scene, so Jiro Koizumi either committed suicide or was forced to commit suicide. Go down. Zwuma waved his hand, he knew why the other party said such uncertain words. Who can force an 8th-level professional to commit suicide? The superiors just told me to report any abnormalities and this happened. Could it be related to the person who captured the Ice Dragon King? It seems that only the other party had the ability to force Jiro Koizumi to commit suicide. Oh, what a troubled time it has been. Zwuma patted his forehead, gathered all the information together and submitted it to the superior. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 103. Investigation Department, a department of Long Kingdom that specializes in investigating various information. Here, you can basically know all the domestic information of Dragon Kingdom. There is even a lot of information from abroad, but these are confidential and cannot be known to ordinary people. Jo-jun, the director of the investigation department, was sitting in his office chair. He hadn't slept for more than a day since the Ice Dragon King incident yesterday. Looking at the information on the table, Jo-jun rubbed his eyes. Nothing was found. The data in the past half-month showed that there were no seniors in the Far West state. Nothing unusual happened. Everything is normal. The only thing that may be abnormal is that 2 instructors from the Longwu Guild took dozens of students to Tianzu Mountain to look for third-level materials. Also, Suren also went to Tianzu Mountain. Suren? There are instructors and students from the Dragon Martial Arts Guild. They are all from the Longwu Guild. It seems that we have to ask Wu Zhenyang. Jo-jun thought for a while, then picked up the phone on the table and called the Longwu Guild. Let your president Wu come to my investigation department. I have something to ask him. The Ice Dragon King incident is taken very seriously by all the senior officials, so Jo-jun now has the authority to ask everyone to cooperate with his investigation. Wu Zhenyang was still puzzled after receiving the news. What was the investigation department looking for him for? However, he still headed to the location of the investigation department as quickly as possible. Entering the office, Wu Zhenyang looked at the people in front of him and said straight to the point. Mr. Zhou, why do you want to see me? Jo-jun glanced at him and said. Sit down, I have a question for you. When Wu Zhenyang sat down, Jo-jun asked. Did 2 instructors from your Dragon Martial Arts Guild take 21 students to Tianzu Mountain 8 days ago? According to the itinerary, they just arrived at Tianzu Mountain in the past 2 days. Huh? Is this happening? I'll call and ask. Wu Zhenyang finally understood why Zhou Jun was looking for him. After the phone call ended, Wu Zhenyang nodded and said, "It's true." "How strong are those two mentors?" Zhou Jun asked. "They are only around level 6 to 50. Wu Zhenyang affirmed. "Are you sure the two of them don't hide their strength?" "I'm sure that they have no need to hide their strength." "You don't doubt that they took over the Ice Dragon King, right?" "I, as the president, have only just turned 8. Do you think they can conquer the Ice Dragon King?" Zhou Jun did not speak, but asked again. "Did you know that Su Ren also went to Tianzu Mountain?" Wu Zhenyang was shocked when he heard this. "You said Su Ren also went to Tianzu Mountain? When did it happen?" "The day after they set off." Wu Zhenyang was silent. He can guarantee that others will not be able to conquer the Ice Dragon King, but if it is Su Ren, then he didn't dare to judge. 2 days ago, news came from Yanzhou that Su Ren killed tens of thousands of people alone. It was already known to everyone. But there is another piece of news that only those at the top know. That was Su Ren instantly killing an 8th level professional. A young man who had just awakened for more than a month killed an 8th level professional in an instant. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Seeing that Wu Zhenyang didn't speak, Zhou Jun asked softly. "President Wu, do you think Su Ren took over the Ice Dragon King?" This. Wu Zhenyang thought of the power of Su Ren's pet beast, and he had determined that Su Ren had a way to subdue a pet beast of a higher level than him. So there is a 90% chance of this happening. But can Su Ren now conquer level 880 boss and become a pet beast? This is a bit too outrageous. Based on what I know about Su Ren, if he was really present, I'm afraid it was really him who did it. Seeing Wu Zhenyang nodding, Zhou Jun also outlined the key points of this information. "President Wu, there is no need to be nervous. You also know this. What we are afraid of is not that the Chinese will take over the Ice Dragon King. What we are afraid of is outsiders. If it is really Su Ren who collected it, this is a good thing and worthy of celebration." Wu Zhenyang nodded. "I know, I'm just a little surprised by that kid's methods. It all feels a little too dreamy." Zhou Jun also smiled and shook his head when he heard this. Who wouldn't be surprised by this kind of thing? He served as head of investigations for decades. It was also the first time that I was continuously surprised by an 18-year-old boy. Everything that happened to Su Ren was recorded here. At this time, someone knocked on the door outside the office and said, "Minister, there's an urgent call from the governor's office of Far West State." "What's the matter? Come in and talk." The person who knocked on the door walked into the house, closed the door and looked at Wu Zhenyang without saying anything. Naturally, he knew Wu Zhenyang, but the affairs of the investigation department were all confidential, and he couldn't speak directly until Zhou Jun opened his mouth. "It doesn't hurt to just say it." Zhou Jun ordered and waved his hand. "Yes." Governor of Jixi Prefecture, Dalma, sent an urgent message that Koizumi Jiro, one of the ministers of the capital of Sakura Kingdom, committed suicide in Jixi City. There are traces of other people's activities around him. It is suspected that he was forced to commit suicide. What? Zhou Jun and Wu Zhenyang looked at each other, and instantly saw the look of shock in each other's eyes. Why did Koizumi Erlang die in the Far West City? If this matter is not handled properly, it may become a diplomatic incident. After all, Koizumi Jiro's identity is there. It's not that Longuo is afraid of the other party, it's just that a minister of the capital died on his own territory. No matter what, we must give them an explanation. Governor Dalma said that no suspicious persons have been found yet and he is fully investigating. Governor Dalma also said that he speculated that this person may be related to the person who conquered the Ice Dragon King. Hearing this, Zhou Jun and Wu Zhenyang frowned at the same time. "I'll try calling his number." Only then did Wu Zhenyang remember this. Because there is no signal near Tianzu Mountain, if the call goes through, it means that Suren has returned to Jixi City. That speaks volumes. Mysterious superpowers that are invincible at a young age. After ringing for a while, the phone was connected. Hello? Lord Wu. Suren's voice came from the other end of the phone. Suren, are you in Jixi City now? Yeah, what's the matter? Do you know about the Ice Dragon King? After Wu Zhenyang said this, he waited nervously for Suren's reply. Zhou Jun also stretched his neck and listened carefully. The room was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Ice Dragon King? I took it, what's wrong? Gilong. A sound of swallowing sounded in the room. The man who came in just now to report had a look of shock on his face. They worked hard to investigate the Ice Dragon King incident for a day and a night. It was Suren who did it. As a member of the investigation section, Suren's name has been on their screens for more than a month. He naturally knew how earth-shattering everything this young man did was. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 104. Zhou Jun looked shocked at first, and his pupils couldn't help but beat twice. Then it was replaced by surprise. If they were guessing just now, they are now 100% certain. Good job, boy. Zhou Jun couldn't help but praise. President Wu, is there anyone next to you? Suren's doubts came from the other end of the phone. Haha, it's Director Zhou of the Investigation Department. Do you know that the Ice Dragon King's incident has shocked the top leaders of various countries? Wu Zhenyang smiled and said. Minister Zhou worked hard all night to investigate, and it turned out that you did it. You did a great job in this matter, as long as you are not arrested by outsiders. Oh, I just grabbed it casually. Suren looked indifferent. If he told them that Nightmare was also caught by him, shouldn't they be so frightened that they run to the sky? Zhou Jun couldn't help but twitching at the corner of his mouth when he heard this. Good guy, I just grabbed it casually. If someone was bragging like this, he would probably kick him in the face. That's a level 880 boss. Why does he sound like he picked up a piece of rotten cabbage that someone else didn't want on the ground? Minister, President Wu, I'll go out for a while first. The person who just reported it no longer dared to listen. Although they all signed confidentiality agreements when they entered the investigation department, Suren said this news so casually that shocked the world. He felt like his heart might not be able to bear it. Wu Zhenyang didn't think there was any problem. Young people should have this kind of courage. That Suren, you don't need to participate in this trial. I will let the superiors directly send you to participate in the World Championship. In Wu Zhenjiang's view, with the Ice Dragon King and Suren's five-color Divine Bird, participating in the World Championships is simply a dimensionality reduction blow. This year Dragon Kingdom will definitely regain the number 1 spot. So trial selection is no longer important. I think it's okay. Zhou Jun also echoed. Oh, is there anything else? Suren didn't care whether he took part in the trial or not. He could get a spot regardless of whether he participated. By the way, there is one more thing, Koizumi Jiro, do you know? He just committed suicide in the far west city. Do you just want to kill my old man from Sakura country? I watched him commit suicide in front of me. Suren did not deny it. He knew that Wu Zhenyang and the others would definitely seek an explanation for themselves. So I told you everything. After listening to Suren's statement, Zhou Jun and Wu Zhenyang had a cold look on their faces at the same time. This old immortal Jiro Koizumi is so shameless to assassinate you. Don't worry, we will definitely seek an explanation for you. Thank you, President, and thank you, Minister Zhou. Okay, you can rest first and leave the matter to us. The phone hangs up. Zhou Jun immediately reported all the news to the king. The king replied with 2 messages. Don't let the Ice Dragon King's affairs leak out for the time being. Hang the body of Erlang Koizumi on the wall of Jixi City for 3 days. It is said that Jiro Koizumi entered Jixi City with the intention of assassinating our country's genius, but was discovered by our country's master and killed on the spot. When Jo Jun saw this second message, his face was also full of horror. The second thing can be said to be a rather extreme way of handling it. Because usually when encountering this kind of thing, most of them are handled quietly to avoid causing greater impact. However, the leader of the Dragon Kingdom made it clear that he wanted to slap the Sakura Kingdom in the face. But this is just an appearance, only a few people know it. The king was trying to vent his anger on Suren's behalf. It was also to let Suren know that Longuo would always stand behind him and support him. The second day, major newspapers and media have reported on the incident of Jiro Koizumi. This incident instantly shocked the whole country. This kind of thing has not happened for many years, and some smart people have already smelled something different in this incident. I'm afraid something big will happen in the near future. No matter what the big deal, if the sky falls, a tall man will hold it up. I'm very curious, who is Jiro Koizumi trying to assassinate? Are you still guessing? Who else could it be besides Suren? I heard that there has been a reply from Sakura country, saying that Jiro Koizumi came to assassinate Suren without permission for the 5 billion knives. This matter has nothing to do with them. They only ask us to return the body of Jiro Koizumi. But, who the hell would believe it? A minister of the capital for that $5 billion. Can their reasons be more convincing? How did we get back? Someone asked. According to the response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, if the body of Jiro Koizumi is wanted, Sakura country must pay 10 billion in mental damages and a statement of apology. The Emperor of Sakura Kingdom has agreed to this condition. Really agreed? Isn't this a guilty conscience? Never mind it, as long as we get the benefits. Today is such a happy day, I'm going to have a nice meal to celebrate. Unlike the laughter in the Dragon Kingdom, there was anger in the Sakura Kingdom. This is simply a disgrace. The people of the Dragon Kingdom have gone too far to bully others. I will definitely seek justice for your Majesty the General. Avenge your Majesty the General. A young genius from Sakura country said. In this year's World Series, I will definitely bring back the dignity that belongs to Senior Jiro Koizumi. Contestants from the Dragon Kingdom, stretch your necks and wait for death. The assassins who were preparing to assassinate Suren suddenly shrank when they heard the news. The last siege in Ziwicheng had already persuaded some assassins to retreat. Now only some assassins who think they are powerful are still taking chances. But as soon as this incident came out, they all knew that Suren was protected by a strong person with rank 8 or above. Koizumi Jiro is also a famous person. It is said that he is invincible in single combat at the same level. Even such a master was killed on the spot. How could they dare to continue the assassination? What's the use of money if your life is gone? The remaining assassins retreated one after another, but only a few assassins were still unwilling to give in. They chose to start with the relatives around Suren. However, after they checked in Donghai City for a long time, they discovered that Suren had no relatives at all. The only possible relative is the orphanage where he grew up. However, when they sneaked into the orphanage, they met an unknown man who was carrying water to wash the children's clothes. When they were about to kill the big man, they found that the pole in the big man's hand had pierced their hearts. The carrying pole, how can it also kill people? They never knew why. The big man sneered, grabbed the bodies of several people and left here. He couldn't let the children see this bloody scene. When the big man came back, he started carrying water and washing clothes as if nothing had happened. It was as if nothing just happened. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 105. The Forest of Nightmare copy is located in a mountain forest to the east of Extreme West City. The dungeon enters level 1 to level 100 to level 3 to level 100. The dungeon is divided into 4 difficulties: Normal, Warrior, King, and Hell. Entering the Hell difficulty requires spending 4 forest keys. These are things Suren found on the internet. Early in the morning, Suren bought the materials needed to enter the dungeon and left the city and walked east. If Suren were to walk there by himself, it would take at least a few hours. But with Caier's help, it only took about 10 minutes to reach the destination. Now Suren is not afraid of exposing himself at all, so everything he does is different from the previous caution. At the entrance of the dungeon, Suren put in the materials and successfully entered. Whoa dash. As soon as he entered the dungeon, Suren thought it was dark. The entire dungeon was lifeless and the sky was very dark. From time to time, the cries of a few crows could be heard in the copy. You have entered the Hell difficulty Nightmare Forest, please be careful. Looking at the dark forest in front of him, Suren slashed out with his sword. Thousands of trees were cut in half and fell down. However, the moment these trees were cut down, identical trees regenerated in their place. Such a fast recovery speed. Suren was a little surprised, but he didn't see anything particularly dangerous just now. But out of caution, Suren still released the pet beast. Ice Dragon King and Cair are too high level to be summoned in this instance. It's daytime now, and nightmares can't be summoned. Suren could only summon the ice insect swarm. The level of the ice worm is exactly 300, which does not exceed the dungeon level limit. The ice worms buzzed and flew towards the black forest ahead. With the ice worms leading the way, Suren felt more at ease. Deep in the dark forest, a swarm of ice insects led Suren inside. After walking for about a minute, news came from the ice worm in front that a monster had been discovered. Advanced Dryad, Elite. Level 280. Physical attack, 66,000. Magic attack, 46,000. HP, 320,000. Physical defense / magic defense, 55,000 / 45,000. Skills, Root Thorns, Tree Vine Entanglement. Explanation: the 1,000-year-old tree spirit in the Nightmare Forest, be careful of the ground. There are quite a few of these tree spirits, there are at least dozens in front of them. But with the ice worms around, Suren didn't even bother to take action. These tree spirits turned into ice sculptures the moment they were touched by the ice worms. It looks dead, but it doesn't seem like it's dead. The ice insect swarm does no harm, but this freezing ability seems to be no less than that of the Ice Dragon King. Suren also saw the power of ice worms for the first time, and looked curiously at the dryads who were frozen into ice sculptures. His mission this time was to kill the queen of the forest and obtain her crown, so Suren did not stay here for long and continued on his way. Along the way, in addition to tree spirits, there are also some forest beasts that will emerge from the forest from time to time. If these things were used against professionals of the same level, they might give them a big headache. However, when they encountered Suren, they were all frozen into ice sculptures without Suren taking action. Suren walked leisurely in the forest, as if he were traveling. After walking for about 5 minutes, Suren finally reached the deepest part of the forest. Under the huge rock, on a throne made of various trees and vines, a human-like woman was wrapped in leaves, holding an emerald green staff, and was sitting on the throne. Kind Forest Queen Chica, Boss. Level 300. Physical attack, 88,000. Magic attack, 112,500. HP, 15 million. Physical defense / magic defense, 105,000 / 98,000. Skill, Double-Faced Queen, Passive. Explanation: the first form of the Queen of Nightmare Forest, Be careful of her second form. Suren looked at the garland crown on her head. It seemed that it was not 100% likely to fall off. Suren didn't want to waste time and refresh the dungeon a few more times, so he decided to change the method. Human, where did you come from? Then the queen of the forest spoke. Faced with this almost procedural question, Suren didn't bother to reply to her. Suren threw out a beast-catching skill without even thinking about it. As expected, it failed. Human, why don't you speak? The forest queen's expression slowly turned cold. You talk too much. If Suren hadn't been afraid that the ice worms would freeze her and prevent her from getting the crown, she would have let the ice worms take action. Human, I'm not satisfied with your attitude. The forest queen's voice began to grow colder, but she still did not take the initiative. Suren waited until the animal catching skill had cooled down and threw it out again. Still failed. Human, this king is getting angry. Suren looked at the forest queen in front of her. Her body, which was originally covered with green leaves, began to turn black. The staff in her hand also slowly turned black. Copy mechanism. Are you going to answer her question correctly? When Suren was looking for a copy of the Nightmare Forest, he did see someone posting a guide. It is said that you must follow the correct conversation step by step to communicate with the Queen of the Forest. While she's still in her first form, she won't fight back. However, even if the answer is correct, the Forest Queen will still enter the second form after the conversation between the two parties exceeds 10 sentences. Because the Forest Queen's first form has a blood volume of up to 15 million. Therefore, if the output is not enough, it is not recommended to flash this copy. Suren didn't read the guide carefully, so he didn't know how to reply. Suren shook his head. No matter what the mechanism was, a level 300 boss couldn't change the world no matter how strong it was. After the beast catching skill cooled down, Suren threw another skill. Human, how dare you break into my king's territory? At this time, the Forest Queen completely transformed into black. Suren frowned and looked at her message again. Angry Forest Queen Chica, boss. Level 300. Physical attack, 500,000. Magic attack, 650,000. HP, 1 million. Physical defense/magic defense, 30,000/30,000. Skills, Nightmare Coil, Whip of Pain, 1,000 Leaves of Flying Flowers, Poisonous Mist of Ecstasy. Explanation, Forest Queen's second form, be careful. Damn it, this attack power. Suren's eyelids twitched after reading her message. All attributes have been comprehensively improved, except blood volume and defense. If someone else enters this copy, they will unfortunately enter the second stage. Facing this second form, if you panic and want to escape, it will be a dead end, and you can only choose to concentrate your fire and fight. But Suren looked relaxed. Snapped. A long black whip came out, and an ice insect was hit by the whip and was whipped to pieces on the spot. The black whip was slowly frozen into ice. The Queen of the Forest threw away the whip as if she was wise, with an expression of surprise on her face. At this time, Suren's beast-catching skill was cooled down again. Let's go. Successful capture, congratulations on capturing the angry Forest Queen Chica. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 106. Hey. It's done. Suren quickly released Chica from the pet space. Chica, who was originally extremely angry, now looked docile. The black that originally looked menacing now looks like a demonic black. Chica meets the master. Alright. Suren looked her up and down and found that her appearance was quite in line with human aesthetics. She has long black hair, an oval face, a small nose, and a curvy figure. The whole person's temperament is even more charming, revealing the domineering look of a queen. "Give me your crown." "Yes, master." Haika obediently took off the crown from her head and handed it to Suren. "Congratulations on obtaining the crown of the Forest Queen. Your job transfer task has been completed. Please go to the Awakening Temple for the second transfer." After completing the mission, Suren recalled the ice worm swarm and Chika exited the dungeon. Outside the dungeon, Suren opened the dungeon again and took a look, and found that the option for the Nightmare Forest Hell difficulty dungeon had disappeared. Only Ordinary, Warrior and King are left. Is it because I captured Haika from Hell difficulty? Suren was wondering, would he collapse the rules of this world if he kept trying? If the beast catching skill is upgraded to perfection, it might even be possible to capture illusory things like avenues and rules. Forget it, never mind it, go back to the city and change jobs first. Cair, let's go back to the city. Suren calls out Cair. Brother, you were so cruel when you arrested that sister just now. Skatha had a quarrel with her. Suren glanced at the pet space. As expected, there was a quarrel inside. The Ice Dragon King talked a lot, and even a non-verbal creature like Nightmare could chat with it for a long time. But Haika was in an angry state when she was captured by Suren. She looked fierce to everyone except Suren. Naturally, when the Ice Dragon King wanted to talk to her, he would not be scolded. If it weren't for Suren's pet beast, they would have fought inside. "Skatha, shut up and don't mess with her." Ouch. The Ice Dragon King hid in a corner aggrievedly. "Chika, you too." He looked at Chika, looking at him with an innocent look on his face. Suren's heart softened and he said, "You stay away from it and live in harmony." "Yes, master." Looking back, Suren patted his forehead, feeling a little headache. If only they could all stay there and remain motionless like nightmares. The more intelligent a creature is, the more trouble it has. There will definitely be more and more pet beasts caught in the future, and I don't know how chaotic it will become. At the gate of Jixi City, tens of thousands of people have gathered at this time, and the number of people is getting larger and larger. There are many people coming from all over the country. This actually made the originally peaceful Jixi City become lively. At the gate of the city, the body of Erlang Koizumi was hanging on it. Since it was said that it would be displayed to the public for 3 days, it must be hung for 3 days. Therefore, Zwuma also hired hundreds of people to maintain order near the city gate. Snapped. An egg was thrown across the crowd on the body of Jiro Koizumi. The captain responsible for maintaining order frowned and said, "Who threw the eggs?" Everyone at the scene shook their heads. No one admits it, right? Just when everyone thought the captain was going to get angry and arrest someone, the captain lowered his head and said softly, "Then I really don't see who threw it." Upon hearing this, all kinds of eggs and tomatoes flew out like bullets. "Throw it on target, don't hit me." The captain led his men and quickly moved out of the way. Suren looked far away and saw a large number of people surrounding the city gate. He doesn't like to show off. So he asked Cair to put him down from a long distance away and walked all the way over. Jiro Koizumi. Suren left the city early in the morning and didn't check his phone, so he didn't know what happened. "Uncle, what happened?" Suren asked an uncle standing at the back. The uncle looked back and explained what exactly happened. Suren also roughly knew the cause and effect of the matter. "Thank you." After Suren thanked him, he found a gap in the crowd and squeezed into the city. "Huh? Why does that young man who asked me just now look so much like Suren?" The uncle scratched his head and said doubtfully, "Where is Suren?" The person next to him looked around and asked, "Looks like he's gone to town." "Really or not?" I haven't seen Suren with my own eyes yet. Why did I lie to you? That person just now really looked like him, and I just realized it. Didn't you say that this incident was caused by Koizumi Jiro's desire to assassinate Suren? Maybe it was really him just now. In the extreme west city, Suren said to himself as he walked. I didn't expect that the king would give such an order for me. This kind of public display that insults the corpse of the opponent's minister will trigger a national war if not careful. This is no joke. Suren was very touched that Longuo could vent his anger to Suren to this extent. Suren is the kind of person who must retaliate for both enmity and kindness. Therefore, he will also remember the kindness others have shown him. After walking in the city for dozens of minutes, Suren arrived at the Awakening Temple in the extreme west city. Jixi City is the capital of Jixi State, and there are often people coming in and out around the Temple of Awakening. It is much more lively than the Awakening Temple in Donghai City. Isn't this Suren? Someone recognized Suren at a glance. He is really in our far west city. Is he here to change jobs? I heard that he had already reached level 100 during the big exam. Is he going to level 2? It goes without saying that he might have already reached level 3. I think the highest level among the geniuses in the same class as him seems to be around level 1 and level 60. It's so infuriating to compare people to each other. Who says it's not the case? There is a gap between geniuses. Suren smiled and nodded to the person who recognized him, then walked into the hall. There is no communication inside the Awakening Temple, even if 10,000 people come in at the same time. It will also be divided into 10,000 independent spaces. Therefore, 2 people entering the temple at the same time will not enter the same space. Welcome, Professional Suren. Your second transfer task has been completed. Do you want to proceed with second transfer? Yes. Transfer 2 is in progress, please wait. A golden light fell, and Suren's body was bathed in this golden light. At this time, a golden shadow of the god once again appeared in the outside world, just like the last time he turned one. But this time the shadow of the gods was even bigger. Its momentum is also more majestic. These visions naturally alarmed everyone in Jixi City and at the gate of Jixi City. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, how like the human world. Chapter 107. Is this a job-changing phenomenon unique to geniuses? It's so terrifying. This should be Suren's vision of changing jobs, right? People near the Awakening Temple saw Suren entering with their own eyes. Hey, by the way, what is his profession? Some say he is a swordsman, others say he seems to be a summoner. It is said that he seems to be a mage. Holy shit, how many professions are there? Don't be too outrageous. I can still accept dual professions. Are these 3 professions a bit too abnormal? While everyone was still speculating, the shadow of the god in the sky had disappeared. In the Awakening Temple, golden light is hidden in Suren's body. Congratulations to Professional Suren, your second transfer has been completed. Hearing this voice, Suren opened his eyes and looked at his system panel. Professor, Suren. Level, 2 to level 0. Occupation, Concept God. Skills, Skilled Sword Slashing, Skilled Blocking, Skilled Animal Trapping, Skilled River God, 100% chance of being caught with bare hands, 0/30,000, Digging Holes, 0/30,000. Potential, 2 add 1 stars. Power, 300. Intelligence, 300. Physique, 300. Agility, 300. Weapon, Magic Knife 1000 Blades. Skill description, 2 new skills are added for each job change. After 5 turns, you will no longer gain new skills, but will gain a special skill point that can be advanced to proficiency. After 8 turns, you will get a godhead that can be advanced to perfection. Basic attribute column. HP, 16,256. Physical attack, 28,450. Magic attack, 34,350. Physical defense/magic defense, 9200/9150. Dodge, 2000. Moving speed, 6 meters/s, running speed times 5. Suren clicked on the two new skills. 100% chance of being caught with bare hands. Every time you draw your sword, if you do not use the draw sword to cut, any nearby object within 500 meters will be selected to catch the sword. The skill releaser can temporarily gain a 500-meter range the field of view of all objects within it, including invisible objects. After 30,000 uses, the skill will be upgraded to a level that is 100% proficient and will be used with bare hands. Cooling time, 5 seconds. Proficient 100% to catch the sword with bare hands. Every time you draw the sword, if you are not using the sword to draw the sword, you can choose any familiar object as the target of the sword, regardless of space and distance. The skill releaser can temporarily get close to the target vision of all objects within 5,000 meters, including invisible objects. Cooling time, 5 seconds. After reading this skill, Suren frowned and then understood. When this skill is not proficient, it can be used as a skill to prevent being followed and assassinated. There would be no point in being invisible to yourself. Of course, it can also be used as a control skill. But Suren doesn't need this kind of control. It would be a bit powerful to be able to catch a sword with bare hands 100% skillfully. Ignoring space and distance, you can directly use the skill as a summoning skill, and it is a forced summoning. As long as the person or object Suren knows well is in this time and space. Suren thought for a moment about the sun in the sky. What if it struck him with a knife? Then people all over the world will directly end. Forget it, unless your life is at stake. Suren shook his head and kicked the thought of seeking death out of his mind. This skill doesn't look very good, but if you really use it, its current destructive power is definitely more powerful than drawing a sword. But it seems that drawing the sword can also kill the sun? Because the sun is theoretically within your field of vision. Suren now feels that he is not the god of concepts, but the god of destruction. If you don't pay attention, everyone has to receive a box lunch. No longer thinking about this, Suren lowered his gaze and looked at the second skill. Hole. Use this skill to dig a hole up to 100 meters long on any tangible object. After 30,000 uses, the skill will be upgraded to skilled drilling. The cooldown time is 10 seconds. Skilled hole drilling, wind tunnels, wormholes, and black holes are also holes. Use this skill to drill a hole anywhere. Damage holes do not cause damage to the releaser. Proficient river god skills can be linked with this skill, which can enhance the effect of all holes of this skill and control the damage of this skill. The cooldown time is 10 seconds. What a combo! But it is reasonable, after all, as long as you bring water, it will be under the control of the skilled river god skills. It doesn't matter whether you have 3 points of water or 2 points of water. In terms of practicality, wormholes are definitely a must-have skill when traveling. Wherever you want to go, just open a wormhole and go there, which is equivalent to a portal. Both skills are easy to upgrade to proficiency, and both skills can be fully upgraded in up to 3 days without sleep. Suren calculated the time and found that there were still about 5 days left before reporting to the Longwu Guild. This time is enough. The next step is to find a place to upgrade new skills. After walking out of the Temple of Awakening, Suren looked up at the sun in the sky, then quickly lowered his head to stop his previous thoughts. Many professionals waiting outside saw Suren's actions and looked up. What is he looking at? Someone asked. I don't know. Can I absorb the essence of the sun and the moon in this way? Can I get stronger skills after each job transfer? Fuck, that makes sense, I'll suck it too. Walking out of the awakening temple, Suren summoned Cair and flew into the sky. On the way, Suren took out the 3 pieces of equipment he had obtained after killing the Cyclops and looked at them. He needed 2 to level 1, and there was still 1 level left. Cair, go to the desert and find a place with a higher level of monsters. In a desert thousands of meters away from the extreme west city. Suren slashed out with his sword, and a fist-sized piece of gold flew up from the ground and stuck to the blade. Hee, it's 100% easy to use if you catch it with bare hands. Suren put away the gold and dug a half-meter hole in the ground. The 2 skills are used alternately in this way. However, the amount of gold is limited, so most of the time Suren uses stones instead. Occasionally, a poison-tailed giant scorpion hidden in the sand will be cut out, which can also be used to level up. This repetitive and boring exercise is the most torturous. Not only physical torture but also psychological torture. After 1 day and 1 night, Suren collapsed on the ground and rested. After swinging the knife continuously for 24 hours, he remembered that the last time he swung the knife so hard was the last time. After 1 day's training, 2/3 of the training has been completed, reaching 20,000 proficiency levels. The whole drilling skill is also 1/3 complete, reaching 10,000 proficiency levels. Fortunately, the cooldown time of these 2 skills is very short, and the upgrade speed will be much faster than other skills. I'm exhausted. Let's rest for an hour before continuing. Suren called out all the pet beasts to get some air, while he lay down on the sand to rest. At this moment, a black door opened in the void not far away. A figure walked out of the void. Seeing Suren, this figure sneered. Ho ho ho. Suren, I finally found you. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with 1 knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 108. Who's looking for me? Suren half sat up and turned to look at the speaker. I saw a humanoid creature covered in black holding a black steel pipe appearing there. Dark King Steel, Abyss Demon. Level 700. Physical attack, 480,000. Magic attack, 550,000. HP, 48 million. Physical defense/magic defense, 600,000/570,000. Skills, Immortal Thundercloud, Thunderstorm, Overlord Body, Speed Reduction Area, Steel Pipe Smash. Explanation, one of the 4 demons under the King of Evil, extremely difficult to deal with. Suren, I have been looking for you for a long time. Today, I, Steel, will kill you. The Evil King's men. Suren was confused. It was a month ago that he provoked the King of Evil. Why did this guy just find me now? He doesn't look very smart. Good. Steel said with some disdain. I see that you are not very old. How can you let the King of Evil personally order you to be killed? The only instant kill skill you rely on is just a joke in front of me. After speaking, Steel jumped up and transformed into a dark thundercloud in the sky. Ha ha ha, now that I have turned into an immortal thundercloud, you can die. Suren's head was filled with black threads. Forget this guy talking to himself, the key question is where did he get his confidence? Suren had to remind him. I'm not telling you, are you a little behind on the news? I don't know what you are talking about, die. As soon as Steel finished speaking, he discovered that an ice dragon next to it had gotten into its thundercloud. Huh? What's inside me? Steel panicked for a moment, and then a bolt of thunder struck him. Minus 3200. What are you doing? Ticking your brother Long. Seeing that this was the only damage, Steel was stunned. What's going on? Who are you? I am your grandpa Long. The Ice Dragon King didn't talk nonsense to it. He flew out of the thundercloud and exhaled a breath of freezing breath. The entire thundercloud was frozen into ice cubes. Even if the Ice Dragon King doesn't take action, Suren can still use the river god's skill to control it. The ice cubes hit the ground with a thud. Steel also had some strength, and he forcibly transformed back into humanoid form and broke free from the ice. But as soon as it broke free, it found that it was surrounded by pet beasts, staring at it with unkind expressions. "Are you touched?" Suren looked at it with a smile. You. Steel no longer had the arrogance he had just now, only trembling and fear remained. "Every creature around here feels like it can hurt it? That's not right. Didn't the King of Evil say that Suren is lawless just because he has an instant kill skill? Who can tell me what the hell these things are? Lord King of Evil, you are harming me." Steel was roaring in his heart. It discovered that it had been deceived and was not at all what the King of Evil said it was. "No, I can't die here." Steel looked at Suren and decided to pretend to surrender. Thump. Steel knelt down directly. "I surrender. I, Steel, am willing to be your slave and serve you forever." The Ice Dragon King was immediately unhappy. "Boy, are you competing with your Grandpa Long for the position? That's my master." "Huh? Where did this stupid thing come from? Is this a robbery? When I return to the abyss, I will let the King of Evil vent this bad breath for me." Steel despised the Ice Dragon King crazily in his heart, and was thinking about revenge in the future. It didn't realize that it had been caught twice by Suren. Since it wants to be a slave, Suren must satisfy its request. However, Suren was naturally not at ease with the verbal request. The safest way is of course to use animal trapping skills. Seeing Suren just staring at it without saying anything, Steel felt a little strange. What is this human doing? Before Steel could figure it out, the next moment he felt a tremor. Then it was pulled into an unfamiliar space. Looking around, Steel was shocked. "Where am I?" "Welcome, Steel." Suren's voice sounded in the space. "Steel meets the master." Steel didn't know why, but it no longer had any idea of loyalty to the evil king in its heart. Now it is only loyal to Suren. The reason why Suren didn't kill it was not because of its ability. This Steel is also a monster with a certain status in the abyss. Suren can use it when he goes to the abyss in the future. It can be regarded as paving the way for going to the abyss in the future. No longer looking at it, Suren rested for an hour and then continued another round of skill upgrading training. Naturally, it is necessary to kill 2 monsters to upgrade in the middle. The level of the poisonous tail giant scorpion is much higher than that of Suren, so it takes a few days. Suren's level has been upgraded from level 2 to level 2 to level 2 to 100. Upgrading is a time-consuming and labor-intensive thing for others, but for Suren, it is the simplest thing. Just find a group of high-level monsters and kill them instantly, and your level will jump up quickly. No difficulty at all. On the contrary, each job transfer task is more time-consuming. Your level has reached the 3rd transfer requirement. Please go to the Temple of Awakening to receive the job transfer task. After looking at the prompts, Suren remained unmoved and continued to brush up on skill proficiency. 100% chance of being caught with bare-handed skills, 30,000/30,000. Upgraded to a proficient 100% bare-handed sword catching skill. Upgraded. Suren silently remembered a chair in the house where he used to live in Donghai City. Then all the scenes in Donghai City appeared in Suren's mind. Everything is so familiar, everything is so lifelike. It seemed as if Suren had returned to Donghai City. Before the scene ended, Suren glanced at the people in the orphanage. Seong Dajhen was playing games with the children, and the old dean and the others were chatting happily around them. All is well. The scene dissipated, and the chair Suren used before appeared across space under Suren's blade. Looking at this familiar chair, Suren took it over with a smile and sat on it. Suren has already seen the power of this skill when he catches it with his bare hands. After a short rest, Suren began to practice his drilling skills. Drill a hole, 30,000/30,000. Upgraded to skilled hole drilling. Everyone is back, let's go back to the city. Suren recalled all the pet beasts. Then he waved his hand casually in front of him, and a round wormhole as tall as a person appeared in front of Suren. Suren stepped in, and at the same time, a wormhole appeared next to the Awakening Temple in Extreme West City. What is this? When someone passed by here, they stared dumbly at the black hole that suddenly appeared in front of them. Damn it, it's not an invasion from the abyss, is it? Go and call the governor. As soon as the man finished shouting, Suren walked out. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 109. Suren. Let me go, what kind of skill is this? It looks so powerful. Is this a space skill? This is so cool. Suren nodded slightly towards them, and then stepped into the Awakening Temple. Welcome, Professional Suren. You currently meet the requirements for accepting the third transfer mission. Do you want to accept the third transfer mission? Yes. Your third transfer mission has been delivered, please check it carefully. Task 1, submit any gold equipment above level 300x3. Task 2, obtain the scales of the Yasaki Orokai times 10. Task 3, clear the hell difficulty poison swamp and defeat the boss poisonous toad. Does this require golden equipment? Doesn't it mean that the 4th level requires epic? The 5th level requires legendary equipment. I don't even dare to think about it later, I'm afraid I'll need mythical equipment. Suren shook his head and said we would talk about the future later. However, the scales of the Yasaki no Orokai are somewhat thought-provoking. If Suren remembers correctly, the Yasaki Orokai seems to be something from the Sakura country, right? You have to do this job change task yourself. But that's okay, Suren was already planning to find an opportunity to go to the cherry blossom country, and this time he happened to be on the way. Withdrawing his thoughts, Suren left the Awakening Temple. Outside the temple, Suren waved his hand again, and a wormhole appeared in front of him. Kyoto, the capital of the Dragon Kingdom. Kyoto is one city and one state, with a population of tens of millions. Kyoto is more than 500 kilometers long from the East Gate to the West Gate. It would take dozens of minutes to fly at full speed with an ordinary flying pet. Kyoto Dragon Martial Arts Guild, today is the day for new students to join the Dragon Martial Arts Guild. Thousands of students from all major states have gathered at the entrance of Longwu Guild. Each of these people is the top genius in each state, and each of them is the proud son of the Dragon Kingdom. When will the door open? Someone said anxiously. A handsome young man with a smile on his face said. Dear juniors and juniors, please be patient. The doors will open at 9 o'clock. Wow, this senior looks so handsome. Several girls whispered. The more bold ones asked directly. Senior, what's your name? The young man smiled slightly and replied. My name is Lin Shengen, I'm 2 years older than you. Lin Shengen? I seem to have heard that the younger generation of Longwu Guild is in the top 3 every year. I didn't expect you to be so young. The younger generation generally refers to teenagers and girls between the ages of 18 and 25. Only in this age group will there be an internal competition. Haha, it's just a false name, not worth mentioning. Lin Shengen smiled and shook his head, acting very modestly. Senior Lin, I remember you were ranked 2nd every year. How can I be as strong as you? Hearing this, a coldness flashed between Lin Shengen's brows, and then quickly returned to a smile. You just need to practice hard. Many juniors and juniors have come to the big city of Kyoto and wandered among the common people, and have long forgotten their original intentions. As a result, the level has not been improved for a long time, and in the end, the talent was wasted and lost to everyone. You must remember that hard work leads to hard work, but playfulness leads to waste. Don't miss this great time. After Lin Shengan finished speaking, everyone nodded. Thank you, Senior Lin, for your teaching. Thank you, Senior Lin. Looking at these admiring looks, Lin Shengan smiled with satisfaction. He works hard every day to level up, brush monsters and become stronger, isn't it just to gain the respect of the world? Only at this time can he feel the joy that becoming stronger brings him. At this moment, a dark hole appeared at the entrance of Longwu Guild. The students next to him quickly backed away when they saw this. What is this? Everyone, back off. Some people have even taken out weapons to defend themselves. Although this is Kyoto, there is no guarantee that some desperate abyss monsters will come to wreak havoc. Lin Shengan frowned and looked at the entrance of the cave. The folding fan in his hand had slowly opened. There was a flash of black light at the entrance of the cave, and a young man with bright eyes and white teeth walked out of it. Suren was a little surprised to see so many people staring at him as if he was facing an enemy. Why are these people guarding the door? He thought that all the freshmen had gone in to report, so he set the exit location next to the door instead of directly in the Longwu Guild. Hello. Suren waved his hand and said hello, resolving the embarrassment. Suren. Is this Suren? Oh my god, what kind of skill does he have? These people are in the same class as Suren, and they have long been aware of Suren's name. In the past month, what they heard the most was news and various stories about Suren. In the mouths of the media, Suren seemed to be praised as an omnipotent god. I didn't expect to see Suren on the first day. He is my idol. Me too. I'll go up and ask for an autograph later and he'll give it to me, right? I want to take a photo with him, hee. Some of the young girls took out their mobile phones and started taking pictures. This scene caused those who were dissatisfied with Suren to whisper. Isn't it just a space skill? What is he showing off? Look at his virtue, it's almost astonishing. He is number one, we can't compare with him. Lin Shengan looked at Suren who had stolen his limelight, forced a smile and said. Welcome, Junior Suren. You may not know me. My name is Lin Shengan, and I am your senior. Among the younger generation of the entire Dragon Martial Arts Guild, Hello, Senior Lin. Suren glanced at this man, nodded slightly, and interrupted him. Suren K was not interested in listening to his ramblings. He only cared about when he could go in now. He hadn't slept for several days, and now he was so sleepy that he had no time to listen to him introduce himself. Suren just wants to finish reporting and assign the dormitory as soon as possible and get some sleep. Lin Shengan was a little annoyed when Suren interrupted him, but he still kept a smile on his face. With so many people watching, even if he got angry again, I wouldn't be able to have an attack on the spot. At this moment, the guild door slowly opened, and a vortex similar to a teleportation array appeared inside the door. Lin Shengan glanced at Suren and explained to everyone. Our Longwu Guild is different from the school you go to. Our guild has its own little world. If you want to enter or exit, you must go through the portal of the gate. The teleportation array also has a detection function. People who are not our Longwu Guild, or those who are not authorized by our guild, cannot enter. All juniors and juniors, please enter in an orderly manner. Suren glanced at the portal and walked in directly. If he really wanted to, he could definitely go through the wormhole directly without having to go through the main entrance. But forget it this time. As Suren entered, others also walked towards the teleportation array. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 110. Entering the portal, you will see a real gate 10 meters high carved from white jade. The 4 characters Longwu Guild on the plaque above the gate are as vigorous and powerful as a swimming dragon. There were already thousands of people inside the gate wearing uniforms of the Dragon Martial Arts Guild standing on both sides. More than a dozen instructors stood neatly on both sides of the door, and the aura they exuded was frightening. Supplemented by the Longwu Guild's special formation, its power is even greater. Most people would be so frightened when they saw this formation that their legs would weaken on the spot. This is also a session that the Dragon Martial Arts Association arranges every year, euphemistically known as training the courage of the students. Those who are weak-willed or timid will see all kinds of terrifying hallucinations coming to them the moment they enter the door. It is common for students from previous years to cry for their father and mother here. But who is Suren? He can easily crush people with thousands of troops. This kind of formation in front of him cannot cause any disturbance in his heart. A student inside the door said curiously. I didn't expect that Suren would be the first one to come in. Do you think he would be scared? Probably not. Haven't you heard about what happened in Ziwichang? He has actually gone to the battlefield to kill the enemy. Maybe Suren won't even raise his eyelids after this little test. But it was really scary. I was so scared that I almost peed myself. Suren looked at the door in front of him, and then walked in slowly. When passing by the door, he did not forget to nod and say hello to each instructor. Doesn't seem to be affected at all. When a tutor saw Suren strolling around, he couldn't help but wonder. Why do I feel like it's useless? It doesn't scare him at all. Few students who passed through the gate in previous years could easily walk through under the power they deliberately exuded. Not only was Suren not afraid, he could also greet them. One instructor was confused and said, "Is there something wrong with any link? It's impossible. We have arranged this mighty formation strictly in accordance with the requirements of the president. Let's see how the students in the back are doing." As the students behind them entered the teleportation array, these instructors finally began to smile. The students who had entered in an orderly manner just now were frightened and turned back the moment they passed the gate. What's more, some were so frightened that they screamed, and a few people even fell to the ground and cried. Ha ha ha. The people watching the show behind the door couldn't help laughing. They came here this way back then. Seeing their fellow students look like this, they didn't laugh at them, but found them interesting. It's like seeing myself again when I first started. Suren glanced back, then shook his head and continued walking forward. Suren. Junior Suren. 2 voices sounded in Suren's ears at the same time. One is Ling Qingxiu in a white dress, and the other is Gulina, whom Suren met in the desert. While Suren was practicing his skills in the desert, Gulina and others had already returned to the guild. Ling Qingxiu frowned slightly and gently looked at the girl in front of her. Dressed in a Western costume, her appearance is not inferior to hers. Ling Qingxiu didn't know how she knew Suren, and she felt a little defensive in her heart. Gulina glanced at Ling Qingxiu, a look of surprise flashed in her eyes. This girl seemed to be prettier than her. She had never met Ling Qingxiu, but Ling Qingxiu directly called Suren's name, indicating that the two knew each other. You. Suren glanced around and did not continue speaking. Ling Qingxiu grabbed Suren's hand first and said, "Suren, I'll take you to report. I'm already familiar with this place. Junior Suren, I have been coming to Longwu Guild for a year, and I am more familiar with this place." After speaking, Gulina also grabbed Suren's wrist. She is the kind of character who dares to pursue the person she likes boldly. Now facing the threat from Ling Qingxiu, she was no longer reserved. For it. Suren looked at these two people and already had 10,000 question marks in his heart. Ling Qingxiu also explained what was happening to Gulina. I only met her once. Are all girls in this world so bold? Oh, my goddess Lina. Did Suren save the galaxy in his previous life? He can win the favor of 2 of the 3 goddesses of our Dragon Martial Arts Guild. Stop talking, I'm tired of saying the word envy. The student standing behind the door was heartbroken when he saw the 2 women competing for favor. I heard that Zhang Haisheng is pursuing junior sister Ling Qingxiu. Now there is something exciting to watch. If Zhang Haisheng knew that Suren had robbed Ling Qingxiu, he would probably stop thinking about it. Ling Qingxiu pulled Suren and asked. Suren, are you coming with me or following her? Junior Suren, come with me. I know all the places in Longwu Guild. I can tell you about them. Gulina also showed no sign of weakness. Well, how about you guys lead the way together? Suren had a headache. No. The 2 women spoke at the same time, and then glared at each other. Ha ha ha, Suren, you came so early. Wu Zhenyang fell from the sky. Seeing this, the 2 women quickly retracted Suren's hands. I've met the president. The 2 women lowered their heads at the same time. Wu Zhenyang glanced at the 3 of them meaningfully, and then smiled. Suren, come with me. Suren breathed a sigh of relief when Wu Zhenyang came to the rescue. He was not so tired when facing thousands of troops in Sin City. Seeing Suren and Wu Zhenyang leaving together, the 2 women looked at each other and each chose their own way to leave. Seeing this scene, many students wailed again. It's really disgusting. When will my goddess become jealous of me like this? I will work hard to level up starting tomorrow, and I will never go out and play around again. On a green path in Longwu Guild, Wu Zhenyang was walking in front with Suren. Suren, while you are young, you can't focus on women. I know, President. Well, of course I believe you. Wu Zhenyang took out a card and handed it to Suren and said. Here are the 1 billion dragon coins I promised you and the 10,000 guild contribution that can only be used in the guild. Guild contribution is more important than dragon coins in our guild. You can take these contributions to the warehouse to exchange for any equipment you want. Except for the mythical equipment, which is currently unavailable, we have equipment of other grades in our warehouse. Of course, all the materials are there too. Do you have the scales of the Yasaka no Orakai? Suren suddenly remembered that this job transfer mission did not limit the source of materials. That means it can be obtained through purchase and gift. The scales of the Yasaki Orakai. Yasaki Orakai is the strongest monster in Sakura country, and we don't have its scales. What about the monster cores above level 500? This thing is what CAIER needs to upgrade.